you should have it the right width so that it can fit in the mold. If not, you have to re-roll the slab, but don't throw this slab away. You can use this for the small plates and platters. Okay, if I were to lift this slab, it would stretch it and cause it to crack. Okay, and that is also why we don't use the canvas. We don't want any creases in it. If you have any creases in your pot, you can get that S-crack in it. And then put a mold right near it and just carefully, you can smooth it with a rubber rib first so it's smooth. And then carefully just form it over your pot. Put the top of the mold on. This is called a hump and slump mold. This is the hump, like a camel hump. That's the slump. Put it on top and press it down. If you can't do it like this, you can step on a stool so you have leverage. Don't stand, put it on the floor and stand on it. And then just take a needle tool, trim away the excess, and then leave it in the mold. You will wrap it with at least 2 plastic bags, and then by tomorrow it'll be leather hard and somebody else can use the mold. And then of course you're going to need to smooth the edges, sure form the edges, and I'll show you guys that tomorrow. And then you can wedge up this clay and you can re-roll it for a smaller piece, okay? Or you can put it in the plastic bag to use again. And remember, you need to have it flattened by doing this or tossing it so it's flat. So I'm going to show you how to do the smaller mold, but that's how you do these big molds, okay? And they're heavy, so if you need help lifting them, let me know. So for the smaller molds, you guys can use the canvas. So I'm going to go actually onto the medium-sized molds. These will all be on the bookshelf where the bowl ones are. So this mold has a bigger dome, a bigger hump. This is for like spaghetti. It's more like a half bowl, half plate. So if you're going to use this mold, I'll get the example out. It's not a good example because, like I said, kids take it home. But this one would be still, I'd still consider this a platter. It's more like a plate, but it's a bigger plate. And that would make this one. Now this student only used the bottom and then pressed their fingers in so it's all bumpy, right? So instead, you should put that on. And look how much it shrank. So they do shrink a lot. You'd be surprised, okay? So besides this mold, I have about 4 plate molds, okay? So the plate molds are these hump and slump molds, and I have about 4 of these. So you won't need that half a bag of clay, but I would say at least a 1/4 bag of clay. And remember to put it in the slab roller, that not the long way, but the other width, the hamburger width, for that one, okay? Then I also have just a hump mold. This would need a foot, and we'll talk about foot rings either tomorrow or next week because it would wobble too much. But this one, you just put the slab on top and let it get leather hard. And then this is what I showed you guys if you had Ceramics 1 with me. You would use 2 bisque fired plates. So those molds are plaster, these are bisque. Make sure they're the same size, okay? And then you would put your slab in and this on top, trim it, let it get leather hard. And these would be your side dishes. So those are all good things for hand building. I also have a foot mold. If you're going to do feet, 3 or 4 for balance, make sure that they are really balanced. And we'll talk more about rims and feet another day. And then I also have square plate molds. So you don't have, there's about 4 of those, you don't have to do the round plate mold. So the square plate molds, sorry, it's like we're in it, they turn out like that. I like showing this because you can see how much it shrinks too. So think about how you're going to design your set when you're doing that as well. And then we also have different forms of slump molds. Slump means just putting it over the form. And those would need feet or a foot ring on there as well. Okay, also I have sprig molds. So some of you used those last year, so you could slip and score them onto your forms. So that's that little flower right there. You could slip and score those onto your forms. Really work on the craftsmanship so you don't have rough edges. Also, it's really hard to cut a good circle. So I have 2 options. One is to do something more organic, and the other is I actually have a clay compass that you can use. And so for the clay compass, you would just take your slab, and then you would trace that form, and it goes pretty big. It doesn't go as big as the giant platters. And then you would take and you just unscrew this. And the nice thing is you can make them all the same size, and you put the non-sharp, the non-metal, the plastic part in the middle. Gotta make it smaller. And you can make your plate, your circles, but of course you can obviously just trace something, or for the really little plates, you can use the cookie cutters and form those. So for like those really little side dishes, you could form cookie cutters and make your plates that way as well, okay? So lastly, you can definitely put texture on your plates by using stamps, but imagine eating off of that. So if it's more decorative or for candy or something, that's okay, but maybe you stick to putting texture on the rim of your plate or the feet or something, because you are going to eat off of those. So that's basic hand building. Okay.